So just in case you missed it, which I really wouldn't blame you if you did, we did get some upgrades to the Apple Watch series along with the new Apple Watch Ultra, which is probably what most people are focusing on. But today we're going to talk about the Ultra probably the most, but we're going to start out by talking about the upgrades to the SE and the upgrades to the Series 8. So let's get started. So beginning with the SE, we have the improved S8 system in package. That's pretty cool. And we also have the new high G-force accelerometer. Both of these are available in every new Apple Watch, from the Series 8 to the SE to the Ultra. And that's it. Yeah, so we don't get any new displays. They're still not the always-on display. That's still the 41 and 44 millimeter. We still don't have the new material choices. It's all still aluminum. And overall, that's fine because it's also all still $250. Back when I worked at Best Buy, I usually called the SE the Garmin or the Fitbit killer, just because when you spend that same amount of money from Garmin or Fitbit, you still have to get an app, you still have to make an account, you still have to do all of these things, whereas you spend $250 on an Apple Watch, assuming you don't want to buy used, like a used Series 7, which has really come down in price. If you don't want to buy used, $249 for a brand new Apple Watch with no other steps other than hold it near your phone and put in some info, it's a pretty good way to go. I guess really the only downgrade you could talk about with the SE is that the back is no longer made of glass, it's made out of plastic, but it's $249, and for most people it's going to be the watch they hold on to until it basically dies, so not a big deal. Moving over to the S8, we have basically the same story. Same screen, same brightness, same size, lots of the same features, and they also got rid of my favorite color, which was the blue, but we do get a new temperature tracker. Now, for anybody who follows rumors, you probably saw people saying that they thought that maybe the temperature sensor was used for picking up on things like hypothermia or fevers, but in reality, the main focus was things like women's health, cycle tracking, and potential ovulation tracking, and then they also added it as some improvements to sleep tracking. Overall, I think it's probably going to have a few more things added as the years go on, but for right now, those are the main two uses. Something that was interesting was that they put a temperature sensor on it at the back for you and then one at the outside for the ambient temperature. This is kind of cool because I remember selling a couple of the Fitbits that had the body temperature sensor, and it was just a temperature sensor at the back. Removing the potential for ambience interference is a pretty smart move, but overall, kind of a missed opportunity to use it for more than that, but I guess if you got to get approvals from other medical agencies, you probably just want to go with the things that you can at least do right now. But now we're going to move on to the newest, the latest, the greatest, the probably not for everybody Apple Watch, the new Apple Watch Ultra. And I'm just going to say this right now, this is the Apple Watch that I've always wanted. And while it is $800, I'm probably going to buy it. Before I get into why it's the Apple Watch I've always wanted, first let's just talk about what they've added to it. So first off, this is the biggest Apple Watch they make. It is a 49mm Apple Watch, but yet somehow the bands for the 45 size and the 44 size, basically the larger Apple Watches of every generation, still can work with these bands, and vice versa. That's pretty interesting. I don't know how they pulled that off, but I'm really glad to see that they did. On top of that, there is only one trim model, 49mm titanium with a sapphire face, and they all come in cellular. Period. So even if you don't want to use cellular, it's there on that watch, and that's it. You don't get a smaller one, you don't get any other material choices, that's it. And as I mentioned, the material they used is what they claim is aerospace grade titanium. I have a hard time picturing Tim Cook up there shaving metal filings off of an SR-71, so aerospace grade, I doubt. Titanium, I don't doubt, because we've had titanium for years on other Apple Watches, so they probably just made it out of this with less of a shiny look and more of just a polished, or rather brushed, aluminum look. The metal that they use also runs all the way up to the sides of the display to protect a sapphire crystal screen. This is actually pretty cool. We've had sapphire for years as well. This is much more durable than the glass that they use, so that's really cool to see. And the design overall is just brutalist. Like, actually, one of the things that I noticed in a couple images is that the back actually has some screws that look like they're removable right back where the heart rate sensor and the charger is and all that stuff. So I'll be curious to see if that means that it comes apart more easily. I kind of doubt it based on a few other things, but seems pretty interesting that they would put just exposed screws for more than just design purposes. A couple other things that they changed in terms of design are the way that they treated the dial and the button. The button is now much further away from the body in this extended piece of titanium that also protects the digital crown, and these are both designed so that you can interact with them while wearing gloves. That's pretty cool. They also put a customizable button on the other side that you can make into whatever you want, and from what it sounds like, certain apps will actually be able to take advantage of this as well, and they made it, what did they call it? International Hazard Orange, or just International Orange, something like that, but this is obviously a very customizable button that they are focusing on people who are going to use it a lot. Now, when it comes to things for input and output on this watch, this is where it really differentiates itself from the other Apple Watches, because on top of everything else that was added to the new Series 8, we have a depth sensor as well as a full dive system. That's pretty wild. So essentially, this can function like a dive computer. This is capable of giving you warnings when you're ascending. You can also see your depth, the water temperature, so it does actually have more than one use for the temperature sensor, unlike the S8. Pretty wild. I said S8, it's the Series 8, but you get what I mean. It also comes with a dual frequency GPS, meaning that if you're trying to get your location in particularly difficult areas, like Chicago was an example they gave, you can still get connected to a GPS even with skyscrapers all around. That's actually really cool. You also get an improved microphone system so that you can make phone calls even in windy environments, and it'll be able to pick you up pretty well as a bigger speaker system that also has a built-in siren in case of emergencies. Now, aside from the better durability, the other thing that got me really excited was the improvements to the battery life. So this claims a 36-hour battery life. We'll see how that goes, just because I know the 18-hour battery life on the Apple Watch is average use, and I've been able to get about a day and a half. You're probably going to get closer to 2.5, maybe 3 days out of this Apple Watch, and on top of that, it also goes up to 60 hours with the new low power mode. So that'll be really interesting to see, and I'll be curious how long people can actually get these watches to go for in the real world. And of course, it wouldn't be a new Apple Watch without a new watch face, and this one in particular is designed with adventurers in mind. You have different altitude tracking features. You have a compass, which is completely redesigned to also allow you to drop waypoints, which is really cool. You can go into a more advanced depth sensor mode, and if you scroll the wheel while you're on that watch face, it will go to exclusively red, so that way it doesn't affect your eyes when you're looking at the time and then trying to see in the dark. Like, okay, I said at the start that this was the Apple Watch I've kind of always wanted, and it's honestly a little bit more than what I've needed or wanted, just because it feels like they interviewed a bunch of people who do extreme sports, mountain climbing, diving, running, swimming, all these more extreme cases of workouts and activities, and said, what do you want us to put in an Apple Watch for you to be able to use one? And they took those into consideration and made a watch. I don't need all that, but I've always been more of a large, durable watch user. And between the improved diving capabilities, going double the depth of the original Apple Watch, basically to the same depth as my old diving watch, being the same size as my old diving watch, but being smarter, not just being a turn the dial on the bezel until you know what time you got to come up, all these improvements really make me want to get this Apple Watch personally, just because I don't upgrade my Apple Watches that frequently. In fact, the only reason I have the latest one is because I broke the old one and I had Apple Care, and during the shortage they said, hey, we know you're using a 2-year-old Apple Watch, but we don't have any newer ones to send you. We'll just send you the latest version because we don't have any of the Series 5. And, well, that's what I did. So considering how long I hold on to my Apple Watches, I think that I'm probably going to get one of these because it's going to survive that long in terms of durability. And with the better battery life, it probably means that I'm not going to have to worry about the battery draining as quickly and showing signs of wear as soon as some of my previous watches. I don't know. Overall, I feel like the main focus of this section of the event was the Apple Watch Ultra, because the SE and the Series 8 are essentially just improving on what's already a really good set of watches, and we just haven't had one that really encapsulates high-intensity activities and extreme durability. And so now we have that, and Apple is continuing to basically polish what I would consider damn near perfection on the standard watches. I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments if you all are interested in either of these watches. Like I said, I'm going to probably buy the Ultra just because while it is pricey, I don't get rid of my Apple Watches very frequently. I hold on to them for a very long time. So hopefully we'll be able to pull that off. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you all think about the new Apple Watches. Do you think you're going to get one? Do you think you're going to buy used? Do you not care? All comments are valid, so I'll be curious to see down below. Also, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss other content like this. And aside from that, I'll see you all in the next video. Make sure to be there, and have a good one.